Today I have the 7 Virtues collection from Virtuous Polish. There are 7 matte shades in the collection, and I'll be doing live swatches so you can see how they apply. The first polish in this collection is a bright pink called Patience. Here is 1 coat of Patience. And this is a very neon hot pink, and it applies really well. It's nice and smooth. It is a little bit on the thicker side, but it's not so thick that it's hard to work with, and it is very opaque on the first coat. And as you can see on my index finger there, it is drying pretty quickly down to its matte finish. Now that that first coat has dried down to its matte finish, here is a second coat. It does dry a little bit darker and a little more kind of corally once it's matte than it is when it's shiny, but it does dry pretty quickly. And 2 coats of this one covers completely. That first coat was just a little bit streaky, but the second coat kind of helps even it out. So I went ahead and buffed my nails slightly just to see if that helps with a smoother application. And you can see kind of right around the edges and up near my cuticle, just in that short amount of time that I was wearing the pink one, it did already start to stain my nail. So I definitely recommend a good base coat with these. The next one is a bright neon orange called Diligence. Here is 1 coat of Diligence. This one has the same formula that the pink one had. It's a little bit on the thicker side, but it's not so thick that it's hard to work with. It's nice and bright. It's really opaque on the first coat, but just a little bit streaky. And it's drying pretty quickly. It's starting to get matte on my index nail. So here is the second coat of Diligence. This one is just a little thinner. It probably could use a 3rd coat because I can still see quite a few streaks on my index finger. But this one also dried pretty quickly. I didn't have to wait very long to come in for the second coat. Here is a 3rd coat of Diligence. The 3rd coat does cover completely, covers all the streaks from the previous coats. It is getting pretty thick on my nail though, it's not too bad. But the polish itself is just thick enough that it's kind of building up. So there is 3 coats, and I will come back and show you the matte finish. Here is 3 coats of Diligence dried to its matte finish. Buffing my nails really didn't do anything for a smoother application. The polish is just on its own still. It's not very even. The next polish is a bright yellow called Chastity. So here is the first coat. I'm going to try with this one. I'm going to do coats as thin as I can and see if that helps with the unevenness that these polish seem to be notorious for so far. That's actually a little hard to do because it is drying pretty quickly. So with such a thin coat, it's kind of hard to make it even before it dries, and that's just making it worse. This one has the same formula as the other two did. It's still smooth, it's still pretty easy to apply, but it is just a little thick. Here's the first coat of Chastity dried down to its matte finish. Doing the really thin coats like you would on a normal polish just isn't working with these. It's making the problem worse, and on my ring finger there it's really uneven. So I'm going to do kind of thicker coats with these polishes and see if that helps with the unevenness. So here is a second coat of Chastity. It is still pretty streaky and pretty uneven. I can see quite a few ridges in there while the polish is still wet. I think maybe if these had wider brushes so you could cover more of the nail with one swipe, maybe it wouldn't be so bad. But I don't know. I'll let this dry down to its matte finish, and then I'll come back and do a third coat. Here is a third coat of Chastity. I can still kind of see some streaking, but it's not too bad. I definitely won't be doing a fourth coat because it's already too thick on my nail for my liking. And still, just the unevenness is... This is the worst of the 3 polishes that I've done so far. It's just so hard to get a smooth application with this one for some reason. It's really not any thicker than the other 2 were, so I'm not sure why I'm having so much trouble with this one. So here is 3 coats of Chastity dried to its matte finish, and it's harder to see on camera, but it's very lumpy and bumpy and uneven. The next polish in this collection is called Kindness. I started with a base coat on my nails for this one, the OPI Natural Nail Base Coat, not only because they stain so bad, but I'm going to try layering this one with a quick dry top coat and then finishing with the polish itself. That way I can see if I'm going to try to get a smooth and even finish, and I just want to see if this helps me achieve that. So here is the first coat of Kindness. I'm not sure if it's the base coat that's helping this one or if it's the polish itself. It is a lot thinner than the others were, and it's applying very smoothly, a lot more smooth than the others were. I added a base coat to my pinky nail just to see if that helps with the application of Chastity any. And it actually does seem to be going on a little bit better. It's still kind of thick and goopy and a little uneven, but that was easier to apply with the base coat on my nail. So now for a second coat of Kindness. The second coat is just as thin, and it applies nice and smooth just like that first coat did. And just like the others, this one dries pretty quickly, and it also dries quite a bit darker on the nail than it did in the bottle, or than it is when it's wet in the bottle. And that one is opaque in 2 coats. So far this is this one has the best formula and application. But I'll go ahead and try a second coat of Chastity. I'm still just not too impressed with this one. It's just so thick that it's hard to work with. The next polish is Chastity. Here it is at one coat, and I'm also wearing the same OPI Natural Nail Base Coat under this one. Again, it's very opaque in one coat, and it is nice and smooth, just like the green was. I'm able to get thinner coats, it seems, with these darker colors than I was with the brighter ones. This one I could probably almost even get away with one coat, so this one dried very quickly. And here is a second coat of Chastity. It is a little more blue while it's still wet, but when it dries to its matte finish, it is more of a kind of a dark navy blue. And again, this one is perfectly smooth. The formula and application of this one is definitely a lot better than the first three were. Here is 3 coats of Chastity dried to its matte finish. Next is a royal blue called Temperance. So this one, just like the last two, is very opaque on the first coat. The formula is nice and smooth, and it's got a really good application. I think this is another one that I might be able to get away with just one coat, as it's drying down on my index finger. It's looking a little bit streaky, but once it is completely matte, that might go away. If it does, then this one will be a one coater. Here is one coat of Temperance dried to its matte finish. I really like this one. This one's gorgeous. The final polish, and pretty much the sole reason that I bought this entire collection, is Humility. So here is one coat of Humility. This one seems to be the thinnest out of the entire collection, and it is almost opaque in one coat. I'll have to wait until it dries to its matte finish to really be able to tell, but I think this one will probably need a second coat. But it is very easy to apply, it's very smooth, and it's got a nice even finish to it. Here is a second coat of Humility. The second coat will cover completely. And again, it's nice and smooth and easy to apply, and it's a lot more even than the first 3 brighter colors were. So here's the second coat of Humility dried to its matte finish, and this one also, it seemed to dry quite a bit slower than all of the others for some reason. So that is it for the 7 Virtues collection from Virtuous Polish. Overall, I really love the 4 darker colors. They were all smooth, easy to work with, they were nice and thin, and they were, for the most part, opaque in 1 or 2 coats. The 3 brighter colors, I'm not really a fan of, especially the yellow. So overall, do you need the whole collection? I would say no, just because the 3 are a huge pain to work with, but I am absolutely in love with the 4 darker ones. So that is it. I will link Virtuous Polish in the description box, and I will also list the names of all 7 of these polishes, and that's it. Thanks for watching.